So I want to put out a disclaimer. I have nothing against Phelan Productions. It's his opinion. He has a right to an opinion. We all do. If our opinions change over time, that's okay. That's fine. And I really am shocked at how much stuff he was getting from a lot of people. I have seen some videos reacting to it. I have seen videos talking about it. And I watched his Why AEW Sucks video. Oh, and I was looking at it. I watched it in full like two times. Then I watched in parts a couple of times to really get absorb the knowledge and everything. And I was debating how I could do this video. Like I don't care about other people's opinions on the terms of why should I get worked up over it. It's an opinion. I hate the tribalist side of wrestling. Like, oh my god. It's it's absolutely insane how tribalistic wrestling fans can get. And I have watched his content before. In fact, the last video I saw that I watched was his Mickey James Exposed WWE video where he talked about the trash bag event, which, yeah, that's still a concerning issue. And now Chelsea Green's coming out and saying that she got a trash bag and it was filled with Natalia stuff, which I'm kind of amazed that how stupid the management has to be if they really thought that. And he, okay, so this is the where he also said, and apparently people were pointing this out, how he has not watched AEW Dynamite in months, which, okay, that's the part where people got iffy with on this take, because he was talking about all the stuff that recently happened, and then he says, I haven't watched AEW in months, and I'm just thinking, oh boy, oh dear. So now he could have easily just watched. He could have done research. He could have does research. I believe, in my honest opinion, I generally think he does his research and tries to look things up. But when it came to this subject, I was like, man, like he had some compelling points. I get some things, but to say AEW's the worst and say it sucks, and even and like here's the thing, the video was very, the thumbnail saying AEW is bad, like in red, and the why AEW sucks, and I felt like, and this has been a thing. I feel about this whole thing. It just kind of looks like he really should have worded that correctly on the title. Like he could have said why I think AEW sucks instead of making it kind of sound like uh okay, hold on. Okay. Man, what's wrong with this? Okay. Okay, got it. Sorry. That hasn't happened in a while. Um, so when this subject came up and everything, and I was like, okay, I acknowledge I'm an AEW fan. I don't like a lot of what WWE does, but I have given videos giving my praise to certain things about WWE, and I have criticized a lot of things, mostly on WWE's part. But when, and most of my videos have been other promotions, like I have talked about WWE a lot. Um, I'm going back to my YouTube channel, so I have talked about WWE. I have talked about AEW. I do talk about AEW more over WWE because I have more of my attention on that instead of talking about WWE today. Like, I think, let's see, the last videos I've talked about regarding WWE recently was Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan, and then before that, it was the 1996 Shawn Michaels and Mankind match. Then before that, it was the Trash Bag Care Package event. And then after that, I talked about WWE's Black Thursday event. And then before that, I talked about WrestleMania and NXT events matches. So, and currently my, surprisingly, Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole's video I did, it is actually the current highest one currently at the moment, and it has beaten several beaten all my other videos since I posted that, and I'm a little amazed by that. Like the one in second place is Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann. So when he said that he hadn't watched AEW months, like okay, fine, he can still do the research, but when he was talking about certain angles and then talking about how why were the Young Bucks suddenly turned heel, then they didn't turn heel and went back to being face. Like I get that, I get the concern, but then I watched it. But this is the thing I feel like something was missing here. I feel like if he has not watched AEW Dynamite in months and has shouldered off on that and has pretty much not touched it at all, but has been reading stuff and whatnot, that's a little a little bit of an issue because you gotta contribute that AEW does have some context given with this because Kenny Omega, because during the storyline with the Young Bucks and whether or not they were with Kenny Omega or not, they were initially, but they did look reluctant. Then Kenny Omega kept favoring the Good Brothers and Don Callis over them. Then they started doubting, and then Don Callis was trying to bring their darkness out from the New Japan days, and yeah. And then like I get the concern like why turn them face and then not turn them face. And yeah, I get what he's trying to say here, but I feel like there was something missing in that context. And then he talked about the women's division. So yeah, the women's division has been the most vocal talked about event in this, and I'm not even going to talk about how he's using WWE clips in the video. Like he explained it, he talked about how this is not because of the copyright thing. He acknowledged, he said that it wasn't about the copyright strike, thinking it's only because okay, fine, it's the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But here's the ironic thing: I did my AEW retrospective project. That's currently on hold for now. I was planning to do an update. I might do one later this week about the future of the NRE channel. But the thing about that, I when the copyright stuff, when the AEW was going really high on the copyright stuff, I was royally thinking that my video was going to be targeted. I thought, well, this sucks. I'm gonna get copyright claimed or copyright strike. I'm gonna deal with a whole bunch of headaches, and then I'm gonna have to find a way to correct the issue. I'm gonna have to find a way to contact AEW, and I don't know how because I'm a small YouTuber, and therefore I don't have the connections. Even though I'm on the press release thing, because I get screenshots and everything from them. And I get updates on their emails and press release information, but not like on a communicated level, like probably some of the more bigger YouTubers have, or those who are at the shows that can make easier contact with them. So I was like, okay, well that just suck. And then after I published my third chapter that me and Ray worked on, I got a copyright claim. My video was blocked worldwide. It wasn't stricken, but here's the thing that that made me laugh. I laughed. I talked about this on Twitter. Okay. It wasn't AEW that copyright blocked me. It was the WWE because I used copyright footage of their show. I'm talking about WWE. I'm providing commentary, and the clips are used to emphasize my point and focus on a specific person. I felt like I could be drastically wrong, but yeah, they copyright blocked my video when where AEW is the subject, and it was just kind of laughing at that. I laughed at that for a while. I went on Twitter and just said, "LOL! Oh my god, I saw this coming." But it's ironic that it's WWE that's doing it and not AEW, like I was fearing when I got the message. So I went ahead and said I turned to my Twitter lawyer to speak to me because I joke about this guy saying he's my Twitter lawyer because he he has he's known for for his legal talk and he at least knows more about this stuff than me. So yeah, I joked about that for a while, and yeah, And it just happens to be where I talked about how the WWE like comment and like how nothing's really original in wrestling anymore, and it's very hard to come up with a full fledged originality. That everything's at least based off of something from done prior. It's just been worked on better, like the Bray Wyatt Waylon Mercy thing, and how the comment about how WWF took off of ECW's ideas back in the 90s and put it on their brand and called it the Attitude Era, which Paul Heyman has come out and said. One of the writers have said that, yeah, the storyline, the segment where this thing happened in ECW, yeah, I copied it for this. Where Bam Bam Bigelow and, if I'm correct, Taz crashed through the ring. They said, okay, let's put that on our show. Oh, and Big Show chokeslams the Undertaker through the ring. And then they do it again with Kane and the Undertaker. And again later down the road. And oh, God. So, yeah. And Tony Khan. Okay, this is the part I kind of get because I don't follow Tony Khan on Twitter. Like, I have seen some of his tweets when other people talk about him. And most of the time I've just seen him being transparent and and owning up to certain mistakes he's made, but I have seen the tweets where he kind of blew something up to be much bigger than it actually is. And yeah, I kind of get that, especially when he said the shift in power was going to happen. And I felt like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Bad wrestling. That okay, so I've also said this. I said the whole because this says this and this says that, and therefore they suck. And I was like, you both botch a lot, WWE and AEW. I get it, and I also get why some people have. And the leg slapping he talked about. Here's the funny thing about that with the leg slapping stuff they make. I have never noticed that except on one occasion. Two, when WWE put the rule out, the mandate, the edict out, when they said leg slapping is banned, and even leaked information came out that yeah, that was accurate. Like you can't even slap your leg backstage, which it's I'm like what? So I so that's when I really noticed. Oh, they actually do that. I never noticed. I must be blind. But you want to know the only time I felt like they made it so blatant they were slapping leg was Adam Cole, baby, doing it. Like when I saw his match with Johnny Gargano, when he does his last shot move, he goes ahead and distinctly slaps his thigh, and I'm just like, wow. And I didn't even think that was for to add to the effect because I never noticed that for any of the wrestlers who have done obvious leg slapping. I'm just somehow not noticing it because I'm so engrossed with the action. And yeah, but and I get yeah, AEW botches and WWE botches, and they both botch. They have their dark moments with botching. I'm just glad no one's dead in the ring in their botches. Yeah, but the thing, and then they talked about Revolution, and I was like, okay, so I laughed about that ending to Revolution and how Kenny Omega did that joke with the 69 me, Don, 69 me, and whatnot. And I was like, oh, Kenny, you're kind of funny sometimes. And yeah, here's the thing. There was a report that came out, Cultaholic published it, saying that about and this is where I was like, oh, okay, so that could probably explain why they never said anything about that ending like the way they could have. Like I was really hoping they would go out, Tony Khan would come out and explain in great detail why this happened and how it fell apart and whatnot. But then when I found out that AEW had commissioned a production company to make the explosives and the props, I was like, oh, that could explain it. Because now you could make the argument. I'm not saying it's legitimate facts. I'm just saying you can make the argument that the company probably has an NDA agreement with AEW that they said do not disclose anything if anything goes wrong. And the report came out saying that AEW was pissed as much as Kenny Omega was over the ending because they had tested it. It was working initially. They did test the bombing explosives every single time, and it always worked. But then the one time they did, it was reported they gave them duds, and they didn't care. They weren't owning up to AEW. They weren't owning up to AEW, and AEW was pissed, so they're probably never going to work with them again, or at least until new management comes in. And yeah, I get the feeling if that is indeed the case, they probably had signed an NDA contract in their agreement regarding this deal they made, so they couldn't go ahead and point out, oh, this is the company's name, and you know how fans will get because yeah, the fan stuff. Yeah, I understand where he's coming from on that because, but it's more like it goes both ways for me. I've seen AEW tribalists, I've seen WWE tribalists like tear each other in the comments, going to war with the other, and I'm just thinking, oh my fucking god, because it's the social media problem. Like I get the problem. Like it's social media echo chambers and all this nonsense that has been built up and beliefs have become hardened. The division is real and all this insanity. And I was like, it probably existed during the Monday Night War, but because social media wasn't a full thing yet, at best it was like probably an idea, but the technology wasn't there, the beliefs were not as hardened and they were willing to switch channels or willing to stay loyal but didn't care what the other side did. I think that's the big difference why I had lost faith in the Wednesday Night War because I do generally believe WWE wanted to halt AEW's growth. I generally believe that. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But there are clear signs that WWE clearly wanted to cut AEW's knees and stop their growth. USA reportedly didn't like AEW having being around because then it would cause an issue for their monopoly interests and yada 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 because they didn't like TNT and Warner Media. I'm like, there's a lot they can say about Warner Media, especially with Zack Snyder, but that's a very different subject. But it just felt like he like it felt like there was a genuine war from the WWE side. AEW probably cared a little bit, and but like the same time they were like, we could just take shots at them. We could take our own pot shots at them. We do it a lot. It's part of our identity. Like that's the thing. AEW did this like the Elite did this a lot. And okay, he also mentions how Kenny Omega's the champion and the Young Bucks are champions and how they are going ahead and basically how AEW's doing this and AEW's revolving around the Elite and whatnot. That wasn't what it was like in the beginning though. Like the video kind of came off like AEW always had a revolved around the Elite, and while the Elite did have big storylines, they were also losing a lot and got their asses kicked. They got their asses beat a lot, and here's the thing: yeah, the FTR losing the titles to the Young Bucks. Yeah, I wished it went the other way, and the stipulation didn't help that it was going to go to the Young Bucks. But here's what the Young Bucks said. Now, you could say, oh, well, they're obviously lying. They could be lying to save face because they knew people would be mad. And fine, you can take that. You can take it with a grain of salt. But they said in their media scrum they were willing to wait a year. But Tony Khan said, no, we want to give you the belts now. They said, no, we'll wait another year to do it. We'll wait another year to become champion. We'll lose. We'll gradually lose. And I don't know if they would have been up. So this was a Tony Khan decision, not a Young Bucks executive decision. So yeah. And he also talks about the old wrestlers being on AEW. I don't watch BTE that much. Like and how the logical consistency isn't there. Okay, so this is the thing I wanted to say. So he talks about all that. I'm just saying this. It probably is my fault on that. I could be horribly wrong, but I feel like AEW does have a fault on that. Not from the whole they have no logic, like the WWE does for a lot of reasons, but I feel like AEW stretches their storylines to so many different shows, and not everyone watches every single bit of programming, and there's not one series that goes ahead, keeps focus on what the story is, and there's no continuity show to give you the complete and utter completion of what is going on. And I just watched Dynamite. I would occasionally watch Dark and Dark Elevation, but not enough to get like what the hell's going on here and what the hell's going on over there. But there was stuff that I felt like were pretty smart on AEW's front, like the QT turn, because they were clearly paying back to the Ides of March. I generally thought that because Cody going ahead and making all these obvious references that would lead to his Ides of March moment, where Jake Roberts promo finally becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that was kind of awesome. And I felt Darby Allin defeating Brian Cage the way he did was a massive callback to how this whole storyline between them began, which was months ago. So they wanted to give the definitive ending on that. But now on to the aging wrestler part. Now, I have no problem with part-timers. I have no problem with them. I get the problem why people don't like it anymore, because the WWE made it dark and whatnot, because of how they did it part-timers. I think the problem, I don't know if AEW or the Elite ever made jokes about the part-time usage, like how, oh, they shouldn't be using age-old veterans and whatnot. It's time to move forward. I don't think they did that. I could be completely wrong, though. I don't think they did that because Chris Jericho was their first AEW World Champion. They needed Jericho, who's a mainstream guy, to be on the champion so they can attract the initial viewership. They needed him to be the champion to get their foot on the door. But yeah, here's the thing. I feel like this is the difference with AEW's handling of veterans and WWE's handling of veterans. WWE still thinks it's the 80s and occasionally the 90s or early 2000s. And then there's Goldberg, who wrestles twice a year in his contract, but is getting paid millions and millions of dollars to sit at home, essentially. There's Brock Lesnar, and who is no longer contracted with WWE, but still really will stay with them. I feel like the difference in terms of using of how the veterans are used. Like, fans were like, okay, I'm trying to find a way to properly explain this. AEW, when it came to Sting, Arn Anderson, when it came to Billy Gunn, they have been used to enhance the other younger talent. Darby Allin has benefited a lot from Sting, and I felt like it's really put him on the main focus, and Sting is focusing his attention on Darby Allin, and it looks like he's gearing for tag team matches for the most part, and has gotten his ass kicked by Team Taz. And Brian Cage is almost looking like he was breaking off from Team Taz. I think the storyline's still there. I think for now they in storyline squashed it for now, but there's still that tension there. But they're currently unified at the moment. Like the Shield did this issue. They looked like they were going to break up, and then they did a segment and squashed it, and then the Seth Rollins happened. Which is ironic now looking back on it, because Seth Rollins was the one that fixed it, and then he tore it down because he wanted to be the one that does it. So, yeah. So, okay, and the AEW are liars part. So, he talks about how AEW promised the sports oriented stuff only to be doing all the random stuff they do from time to time, and how they're not, and like, okay, yeah, that. I I'm not 100% certain on this. I don't know the timeline of certain interviews, but I could have sworn they had said that they changed the direction on that because AEW should be more like a melting pot of stuff and like a buffet. I think Cody said that, and it could have been like before Dynamite aired on TNT or during the whole Shaquille O'Neal stuff. like I said, I could be completely wrong. I'm just like spitballing here a little bit because I'm trying to get my facts straight on that. I was doing a bunch of research when I first saw the video. It was a little bit after I watched the Jay Whitehall and and match with Hiroshi Tanahashi, and before I made my video. But calling them all out liars, like, okay, fine. If they were, I think they have tried to be transparent on this, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I'm just giving my raw reaction to all this and just giving my points and what I thought. And the AEW Women's Division, he says that it sucks still, and how how Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's match was the only good match throughout the entire time here. I was like, no. Now, quality of matches are subjective. A person's opinion about a wrestling match is subjective, but I felt Serena Deeb versus Rhea was a pretty damn good match. Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose was a pretty damn good match. Hikaru Shida's matches with Thunder Rosa, with Nyla Rose, with I'm trying to pronounce her name. She fought her at Revolution. That was a pretty damn good match. So, and Rio versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's title the first time was a pretty damn good match. So, yeah, that part is subjective on that. Like, the women's wrestling match quality stuff, like, is subjective. Like, they don't get enough TV time on Wednesday night. I get that reasoning. And now this is just conspiracy talk on on the last part here. But the whole but if I recall correctly, I saw this tweet. I had to reiterate to look at this tweet that Kenny Omega said that if you want this to happen by this and that, you have to tell TNT and whatnot. And I was like, oh, that might be a problem. Where it kind of gave the implication for fans that TNT said you can't have more than one women's match, which was immediately disputed, which was a few weeks, about a month or so later, it suddenly changed and it went to more than one women's match, and then it went back to one women's match, and then it did, and then it didn't, and it just got so jarring at times. But yeah, it is a little issue-ish when it comes to this match, but yeah, this is just my raw reaction on this. Raw. Raw is war. Like I reiterated it to people in the beginning, don't send this guy hate. Like, it's just his opinion. If he is been genuinely switching from time to time, fine. That okay. I get that's a problem. I don't watch all of his videos. Like I said, the last video I saw was his Mickey James Exposed WWE, and I believe the last one before that was Every Wrestler Released, and then the last one before that was, let's see, he oh, the Hurt Business, rest R.I.P. the Hurt Business. So yeah, yeah, I have seen this content. I don't watch all of it. I don't, just to be honest. But these are just my raw reactions to what I saw as video of the why AEW sucks and the thumbnail saying why AEW is bad. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on this. I have no problem with him as a person. I have no reason to get mad because it's the internet. I'm probably never going to see this guy, so why should I get mad? Why should anyone get mad over the internet? I'm like, if the person was being an a-hole to people, like if someone was trying to force me to watch this, don't watch that. Like, if that was the case, then I will definitely call that out on my Twitter account. But what's the point of getting all heated with just over differing opinions and getting heated with people you're likely never going to meet? Like, I have over 900 followers on Twitter. And I have only met one person out of 900 followers throughout my entire time on Twitter, and it was still awesome meeting him. But that's the thing. I'm probably never going to meet many of these people. Like, it would be awesome to meet the ATW crew. I would love to hang out with them. They're pretty cool for me, and they've been nice to me. But we don't know if we'll ever meet, other than on Zoom. But that's anything can happen in life. So, but like, what's the point of getting heated over the internet if you're never gonna meet these people in real life? Like, I don't see ever me him productions ever failing productions ever. Like, I don't see that happening. I don't see meeting PewDiePie. I don't see meeting a lot of these people because it's the big world. So why get heated over people you're never gonna meet? You're likely never bound to meet. So yeah, that's just my big talk. This is my raw reactions. I just felt like talking. I don't know if I made any points. I just wanted to talk about this whole thing because this guy is getting a lot of heat from fans, and yeah, yeah, and some people have been nice to him and have given their viewpoint on the whole video, like the elitist and everything. So there are people who have tried to be who are being polite to him and telling him why they disagree with him. But okay, so yeah, these are just my 2 cents. I have no problem with him. Don't make it look like I have a problem with him. This is just my raw reaction to that video. So yeah, this is Neo Reality Entertainment, the WrestleVerse. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other content in the description below. Oh, if you're interested, and stay tuned for more. And man, wrestling is so crazy these days. I just want wrestling to be great, and AEW has given me that. And I have said my stuff on WWE, but like at the end of the day, everyone's just a wrestling fan. That's just my 2 cents.